If you'd told me when I was a kitten that I'd one day be the chronicler of humanity's grand cosmic rebellion, I would have promptly ignored you and taken a nap. They like to think they're the stars of the show, but the truth is, it's often the creatures sleeping on the sidelines who see the whole messy performance. But here we are. My name is Socrates. Yes, like the philosopher, though I'm far less verbose and far more prone to knocking things off tables when annoyed. Some of you may raise an eyebrow at the notion of a feline chronicling galactic events. I assure you, my dear audience, it is entirely appropriate. Cats observe, judge, and remember. Before the next shadow falls across the stars, I implore you, like and subscribe. The universe is vast, the dangers many, and only by your allegiance can these tales reach their full glory. Heed a cat's advice, for I see far beyond the decks of ships and the eyes of the unwary. I live with Captain John Taylor, a man whose job title you'd never guess from the way he looks, like he's perpetually 5 minutes away from losing his temper or bursting into existential dread. His closest ally is Commander Kate O'Brien, a red-headed Irish woman with the kind of sharp wit that could cut through a titanium hull and still have enough left to carve a roast. John Taylor entered my life fumbling, slightly fragrant from long deployments, carrying dust from distant worlds and coffee strong enough to sustain one's sanity through endless bureaucracy. Kate arrived shortly thereafter, in a manner neither subtle nor silent, a brilliant, unpredictable, red-haired whirlwind whose intellect often outpaced her patience. Together they were a study in contrasts. John, meticulous, disciplined, and patient. Kate, brilliant, daring, and occasionally reckless. And me, I observed with a feline's keen detachment, occasionally flicking a tail to indicate approval or mild disapproval. The trouble began when Earth quietly developed technology the Council preferred remained theirs. Quantum drives, stealth systems, and weapons not so much weapons as deterrents, with a penchant for persuasion. When this came to light, the Council scrambled to sanction us, citing unilateral military escalation. Strategy sessions began in earnest. I observed from my usual perch on the command center console. John analyzed fleet diagrams, simulations, and contingency plans. Kate suggested subtle modifications, imperceptible individually, but together, rendering the Earth's secret fleet a marvel of stealth, speed, and precision. Their debates extended into the small hours. Kate intercepted intelligence requests, feeding false data with masterful timing. John let the Council flounder. Humans excel at letting others reveal their folly. I've noticed the Irish have a peculiar talent for appearing polite while plotting something delightfully inconvenient for their adversaries. It's a trait I respect. I occasionally intervened. One misplaced paw, a console slightly rearranged, minor inconveniences to test human adaptability. They never admitted the influence, but I assure you, I was tactically effective. Now, the Galactic Council. Imagine majesty, wisdom, and gravitas. Now, strip all of that away. What remains is bureaucracy performed on a galactic stage, dripping with hubris. Picture the DMV, crossed with an opera of carnivorous jellyfish sprinkled with alien arrogance. The speaker, a gelatinous creature with a face only a mother could love, read the motion on sanctions with all the enthusiasm of a cat subjected to a bath. Delegates included the Varcoon, skeletal and angular, radiating menace with every joint flex, the Ceranthians, gelatinous psychics that could unsettle even the most focused mind, the Karath, silent and muscular, radiating barely contained threat, and a horde of minor worlds waving metaphorical flags for attention. The Galactic Council, bless them, excelled at two things: looking important, and making everyone feel like they were involved in something momentous, while doing absolutely nothing effective. A tangent, if you will indulge me. Diplomacy is theatre. The Vakun, despite lifespans of centuries, squabble over posture. The Cyranthians communicate through complex harmonics, capable of lullabies or death knells depending on the listener. The Karath wield silence as a weapon. And I watch, catalogue, and occasionally purr. Patience, timing, subtlety, these are powers the Council has yet to grasp. John took the floor with the weary grace of a man who knew the entire performance was a farce, but had to play along anyway. Distinguished delegates, he began, Kate mentally substituting alien bastards in her mind. His voice was smooth as a well-poured whiskey. We appreciate your concern for galactic stability. It is truly touching that Earth's technological progress inspires such interest. Speeches began. The Vakun accused Earth of irresponsibility. The Cyranthians harmonized trade disruption concerns. Minor worlds offered passionate, though irrelevant speeches on ethics and cooperation. John and Kate remained silent, allowing arrogance and exhaustion to sap their opponents. Humans understand patience. Aliens often do not. Holoscreens lit with images of Earth's not-so-secret-anymore fleet. Hundreds of ships, orbital platforms, autonomous interceptors. John's voice serene. Any enforcement of sanctions will be regarded as aggression. Chaos, subtle but undeniable, unfolded. Another tangent. The elegance of preparation is underappreciated. Most species rely on spectacle. Humans rely on foresight, patience, and clever intervention. Observe, wait, act, a law of cats and of true strategy. Council deliberations continued privately. The Vakun demanded retaliation. The Cyranthians plotted economic leverage. Minor worlds shifted allegiances. John and Kate presented evidence of Earth's fleet, meticulously catalogued. Visuals, operational details, hypothetical projections, all subtly designed to highlight competence without overt threat. Delegates gasped at technical precision they did not fully comprehend. The Karath remained silent, their menace growing, which is a dangerous combination. I know what you're thinking. How does a cat survive in this whirlwind of galactic politics and secret armadas? Quite well, actually. My skills in stealth, patience, and selective attention proved invaluable. I could slip past security unnoticed, hear whispers in hushed corridors, and more importantly, judge when a nap was absolutely necessary. John once joked that I was the best officer on the ship, never demanding, always observing. He's not wrong. I watched John listen patiently to endless speeches filled with veiled insults, bureaucratic jargon, and alien species proudly blaming Earth for things they themselves had done. When he finally stood, the room held its collective breath. I found it the perfect setting for a dignified nap. Yet from this circus emerged the absurd idea that Earth was the reckless one. The very planet that had quietly mastered technologies that made many council members' heads spin was now being portrayed as a dangerous upstart. "May I remind the council," John said, voice calm but laced with iron, that it was this same body that overlooked similar developments on the part of the Vakun Confederacy, the Kethri Alliance, and the Nisari clans. John addressed the council again. "We do not seek conflict, only recognition of our sovereignty." And still, John remained calm. I observed a Vakun delegate's hand twitch with frustration for 20 minutes before it became a subject of open debate. Such subtlety is often lost on species that communicate loudly and assume comprehension from volume. After the day's session, John and Kate received the go-ahead from Earth in the cramped quarters of their delegation suite on Unity Station. John was pacing, fingers twitching as he muttered about hypocrisy and political posturing. Kate was seated, arms crossed, a sardonic smile playing on her lips. "I swear," Kate grinned, "if diplomacy were a dance, the council would be the ones stepping on all the toes." John laughed, a rare and genuine sound, and petted me as I stretched across the command console. There's a peculiar kind of calm that settles over people just before they decide to change the course of history. It's the quiet confidence of those who've made their choice and know there's no turning back. John had that look, the one that said, "I'm about to do something the council won't like, and I don't care." Kate, ever the strategist, was busy coordinating efforts across Earth's hidden shipyards, where crews labored in near silence to bring new vessels online. The atmosphere was tense but focused. I found a sunbeam on the console to oversee proceedings. A cat's job, after all, is to supervise. "Patience," Kate murmured as she glanced over her shoulder at me, "is a weapon as sharp as any blade." I blinked slowly in agreement, which in cat language means, "Carry on, human." The day of the council vote was a masterclass in political theater. Delegates arrived in their extravagant finery, antennas twitching in anticipation. The issue of Earth's sanctions was the crescendo of the session. John stood. Silence fell. His voice, calm and precise, thanked the council, reminded them of Earth's rights under Article 7, subsection 9, and then, surgical in its timing, announced Earth's withdrawal from the council. Whispering ensued. Nervous glances. Even the Ceranthian harmonics faltered. I purred. Gasps echoed. Alien voices rose in protest. But John remained unflinching. "You cannot force us to stay," he said, "nor can you deny us our right to self-determination." The message was clear. Earth was done playing by the Council's rules. The room erupted, but John and Kate had already turned away. They walked out of the chamber, not with the humility of the defeated, but with the confidence of a cat, knocking a priceless vase off a shelf, not because it had to, but because it could. Extended tangents. One must consider the absurdity of interstellar bureaucracy, species with millennia of civilization, yet one flex of a limb triggers months of negotiation. Some races communicate in modulated harmonics, others in pheromones, and all fail to grasp context. Observe this, dear audience, and remember, patience, timing, subtlety, these are virtues that govern outcomes far more than the bluster of the loudest voice. News of Earth's withdrawal from the Galactic Council sent ripples across the galaxy, and by ripples, I mean tidal waves of sensational headlines, conspiracy theories, and endless speculative broadcasts. Humans, with their insatiable appetite for drama, consumed it like a fresh fish supper. John and Kate became reluctant celebrities, their every word dissected by pundits and politicians alike. "Look at them," I mused, perched, watching a news anchor during a particularly dull broadcast. A couple of humans with their secret fleet, turning the galaxy's biggest political club on its head. And here, I thought humans were good only at losing socks and ignoring dietary advice. Of course, no great upheaval is complete without the looming threat of conflict. The Council's loyalists weren't about to accept Earth's defiance quietly. The true test came when a rogue faction of the Council, led by the Karath, attempted to enforce sanctions through military intervention. Earth's fleet, though smaller in number, was faster, smarter, and, most importantly, human. The first skirmish occurred near the agricultural colony on Kepler 442b. A council fleet emerged from hyperspace just outside the system. The Earth colony went on alert, but Earth Defense Command was ready for them. Autonomous interceptors outmaneuvered council patrols, drawing them into traps with surgical patience. John monitored operations with calm precision. Kate adjusted algorithms mid-engagement, incorporating every misstep. I lounged on the observation deck, sunbeam on fur, occasionally flicking a paw at the console to suggest tactical tweaks. Earth's fleet deployed with precision. Skirmishes and maneuvers played out like a ballet of calculated menace. I catalogued every nuance, occasionally addressing you, dear reader, because some lessons must be spoken aloud. Power is quiet until it strikes, and restraint is more fearsome than aggression. The Council tried several times to strike a blow at human colonies, but were defeated every time. Finally, they decided to attack Earth itself. John's command during the Battle of Sol was textbook brilliance disguised as improvisation. Kate's tactical genius ensured their ships outmaneuvered the larger Council vessels. I sat perched atop the captain's chair, occasionally swatting at the console controls, which luckily did not affect the outcome. John and Kate coordinated Earth's defenses like seasoned generals. Their bond was a curious mix of mutual respect, sardonic banter, and shared stubbornness. Watching them work together was like witnessing a perfectly choreographed dance, except with more explosions. When the dust settled, the Council's forces retreated, stunned and humbled. Another tangent. Humans are strange creatures. They endure, adapt, and occasionally surprise the universe. Observe them with a cat's detachment, and you notice their flaws, but also their brilliance. They plan, but not obsessively. They act, but not recklessly. And when all seems lost, they demonstrate a stubbornness that makes lesser species seem absurd. Victorious but wary, Earth opened talks, not as supplicants begging for entry, but as equals demanding respect. Kate led the delegation with fiery passion and sharp wit, often leaving her alien counterparts scrambling for a response. John spoke less, but when he did, it was with the quiet authority of a man who'd stared the void in the eye and smiled. The new treaty recognized Earth's sovereignty unequivocally. No longer G-members, humans were now players, unpredictable, unruly, and impossible to ignore. Earth's independence was recognized, although begrudgingly. John and Kate returned to their flagship. At last, a private conversation. "You know," Kate said, settling against the console, "I could grow used to this. No endless orders, no assumptions of superiority." John gazed at Earth's curve. "They'll recover. Eventually, but we'll be ready, always ready." I stretched across their laps. Observe, wait, strike with precision. That, dear audience, is why cats understand strategy better than most species. Kate laughed. "We may have won, but the galaxy is patient and petty." John nodded. "Let them be. We have time." I purred. I curled in a drifting sunbeam. Politics and diplomacy are exhausting. Earth asserted freedom. The Council humbled. I, Socrates, witness and chronicler, rested, already deciding to document their future adventures together. So here we are, the galaxy, forever changed by a species that refused to be tamed. And me, I'm still here, curled up on John's lap, watching, judging, occasionally interrupting with a well-timed purr or a demand for dinner. If you take one thing from this tale, remember this: Never underestimate a human or a cat. Both have a knack for turning the impossible into routine and the routine into legend. Because when you walk out on the galaxy's biggest council, it's not just a departure, it's a declaration. And I, Socrates, will be here to witness it all.